Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, what I like to do is to create videos that I would have found helpful when I first got out looking for gold, silver, treasures like this one, at garage sales, thrift shops, any kind of secondhand location. I really have gotten into silverware. You'll see that quite a bit on my channel, in particular sterling silverware, and jewelry is something that I've been finding quite a bit. So the intent here is to actually be able to help you to grab jewelry and silverware when you're out and about. Today's video is going to be weird, and I'm not expecting it to be super popular, so if you are not interested in this topic, please, there's lots of other videos I have you might find more interesting. What I'm going to do is, my children are home, so I actually am going to work on filming a little intro for my videos. Apparently the YouTube algorithm likes it when you have like an intro. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be piling up treasure, and I'll talk about the pieces of treasure that I pile up as I do it, so we can have a little bit of a record of what these different pieces are. And I'm going to start here by just forming a little boundary for myself. And the reason I want the boundary is because I want to be able to frame this picture. Now, as we go through, we will take different pieces and we will be moving them around, and we'll be talking about what they are. But initially here, at least, I'm just going to take and make a little bit of a silverware boundary so that I know, as I'm laying pieces down, where they go in relation to the picture that we're going to take. There we go. Okay, so we have a nice little frame, and we will we'll be working on this as we go. Things will get rearranged. Now, I will talk about each and every piece, so this is probably going to be a series of videos. My voice is potentially not going to hold out, which is part of why I'm making this less serious video. I have a series of different videos that I do need to make, that I will be making, that are more how-tos or are more informative. But this one will just be kind of fun, and if you like looking at treasure and talking about treasure, this is the video for you. Okay, so I've laid out a few different pieces here. I'll just talk about them real quick before I continue on. This one is just a little California souvenir spoon. And if you zoom in here, you can see 100 years, so 1848 to 1948, which dates the spoon nicely. It's just a little sterling spoon. And the reason that I am including it in my treasure pile, or at least my first pass of the treasure pile, is because this is the first baby spoon that I used for my daughter. She rejected the plastic spoons. She wanted to use the adult spoons, and I was having a hard time because the adult spoons were all too big. And I found this at a garage sale. It was one of my very first pieces of sterling, actually, that I ever found at a garage sale. And I just hand washed it, and we used that as her baby spoon, and it worked out quite effectively. I'm just going to set that there real quick. Speaking of baby spoons, we have two here, which we'll talk about briefly. These are, in my opinion, one of the most delightful types of sterling you can find. And the reason for that is that these are not just baby spoons. They are a record. So you can see here, in both cases, we have the stork. In this case, the stork is on top of a chimney. In this case, the stork is holding a scale. Now that scale, see how it says birth record there, is engraved with this child, who I believe his name was Weldon. Yep, Weldon. And Weldon was almost 9.5 pounds, so he was a pretty big boy. Born 1911, April 24th, 12:30 p.m. And there's a little baby being held up by the scale. And if you flip it over here, you find our sterling mark, and then you find that the stork motif continues on. You've got a little reed right there. Now this one is a little bit different. If you go down, you'll see that we're actually looking at a Scandinavian spoon, so it's definitely not in English. And then we have a clock, so I'm not sure if it was 4 a.m. or 4 p.m. And then we have the July 22nd, 1938. I'm not sure what DAG stands for or DAG means, but that was engraved. Maybe that's the PM, AM? And then we have 49 centimeters long, and this child weighed in at 12 mmok. I'm not sure what that means. But if we flip this one over, you can see we have that we're looking not at sterling, we're looking at 830 silver. And then this child's name was Sigurd Christian. And the spoon is dated November 4th, 1938. And I think that that's probably when the spoon was given to the family, which is why there's a discrepancy between the birth record here and the date on the spoon. I think that's when it was when it was made a gift. All right, so we're just going to keep going there. So we've talked about these. We'll talk about this one here real quick. This is American coin silver, and this is all hand engraved. All that decoration was done hammer and chisel. And I don't recall exactly who F&H was, but it's one of the, a silversmith in America. And I want to say this one was like 1860s. Definitely mid-19th century American coin silver, and I just love it. This is a master butter knife, so this stays with the butter, and you take a pat of butter using this knife, put it on your plate, and then you have individual butter knives, which you use to spread the butter on, you know, whatever you're spreading the butter on. These three pieces are all Gorham, and I bought this for $5 at a pawn shop, and believe it or not, and it's sterling. You can see down here, sterling, Gorham. The H actually denotes how much silver is used in, I believe it's like a dozen spoons, so it's like heavy. So it's a pretty chunky thing. And look at this pattern, it's just crazy. And the Versailles pattern is even crazier than that, because this isn't the same pattern you'll find in every piece. Unlike something like the St. Cloud over here, which is also crazy and beautiful and something that I love, especially because I love pulling this out for holidays. Again, Gorham, beautiful pattern. But the Versailles pattern, every single different piece, I believe, in the pattern had a completely different design. So this is just the teaspoon, but like the soup spoons have a different design, the forks have a different design, different size forks I think have a different design. I have to look at it again to verify that, but yeah, just absolutely out of this world set. If you ever have a chance to look at it in person, absolutely avail yourself of that. Okay, so I am just going to be laying these out, as I mentioned, as a border, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to keep grabbing pieces, and I'm going to be putting them into this. So let's see. We're going to not quite want a border so much as we're going to want this to be aesthetically pleasing. So let's keep grabbing some stuff, and we'll be rearranging it as we go. We're using this as a border right now. Let us grab a little dish. Let's see how these look. So this is just a little dish of gold. Well, the dish itself is actually a repoussé nut dish. So this is for when you're fancy and you and I have more here. I have a couple of them. When you're fancy and you're serving nuts to your guests, that's when this comes in. And these are sterling. I only have two. You can get more of them. This particular pattern, I'm not sure here if I recall who made it. Is this Wallace? Yeah, Wallace sterling. So Wallace made this pattern, and you can get silverware and the hollowware for it if you like. Now we might as well talk about each of these pieces within this as I try to figure out how I'm going to arrange everything. I've chosen these pieces partially because they're, I'm just starting with the things I treasure the most, and then we'll fill in with other pieces from my collection to get the overall effect of a treasure pile. And this is one of the pins that taught me to love these little Greek pins. You can see here, I believe this is the chapter. That's what this little guard pin is. And the guard pin is the second pin that if this pin comes out, then this pin saves your pin. Or if this one comes out, then this pin saves this one. So that's why that guard pin exists, because it's a valuable little thing you never want to lose, not just because it's sentimental, but because it's made out of gold. And quite a few of these little Greek pins are made out of gold. Now this particular one, if you look at the back here, you can definitely see, yep, we're looking at a piece of gold. But the reason I like this one so much is because it happened to be engraved with Evelyn Swanson. And with that, I was able to look her up and find information on Evelyn, and see that she's read about her life, which I found very fun. Now, I think with a lot of these, you could potentially do that if you can look up the numbers, but this particular one is a favorite of mine simply because it was one of the first ones I ever found, and the reason I was so drawn to it at the time was because of the name. I knew I could actually maybe find something, and I was able to find something, and I found that just really, really neat. And then I got very addicted to these little pins. As you can see over here, I move this over, I've got quite a few, and I've picked these out just for the effect of how they're going to look all together. We'll be piling up gold and silver and treasure. This one is also quite nice. The gavel generally indicates some sort of leadership position. This guard pin will probably indicate what chapter. I'm not sure in this case. And this one is set with seed pearls and sapphires. And I think I got that one off of an online auction. These end up sneaking into online auctions quite a bit. This one I found in one of those jewelry jars. I'm not sure if everyone has those where they are, but a lot of thrift shops will have like a big jar full of random like scraps and broken jewelry and just stuff that they can't figure out. And this is one of the only ones I found that actually has emeralds in it. Now, sadly, it's missing one of the emeralds, but, it was in a jar of broken jewelry, and I never did find the emerald. It's also, as you can see here, it's missing its guard pin. So there should be a chain going off to another pin on that one. But, can't complain about 14 karat gold in one of those jewelry jars. This one I love because it's a Scotty Club. But it's not just any Scotty Club. It's a Scotty Club that really cares about their pins. You have, a couple things going on here. You've got AK. I'm not sure who AK was, but it's also a 10 karat pin. So this was a serious Scotty Club, or is a serious Scotty Club. Maybe somebody watching this video will know what the Scotty Club is that was dishing out pins. Pardon the pause there. I'm still coughing quite a bit, so if you see a little pause or a little jump, that's just because I didn't want you to have to hear my coughing. This is one of the neater pins, in my opinion, of these Greek pins I have, because it's the oldest one that I've found, and you can tell how old it is based on this wonderful little latch. And this is a handmade safety latch, you can see here. And the handmade safety latches date these quite nicely to the late 1800s, because the safety latches really weren't around until the very end of the 1800s. It really wasn't much of a concept yet, but it was prior to when, you can see here on this newer one, prior to when they became much more standardized, and jewelers started buying these, which were mass produced. And that came about very end of the 1900s, into the early 1900s, and then on. So, you see something like this, and you've got like 1880s, 1890s, because the jeweler who made this pin handcrafted the latch, the lovely little safety latch here, which is quite a lot of work. Plus, it's set with pretty little sapphires. I grabbed another pin here. This one's fun. That's the CWTU, the Christian Women's Temperance Union. Yeah, the ladies who got us prohibition, I believe. And this is was an award for oratory, and it is, in fact, I'm not sure if it's marked as such, but I did test it, and it is 10 karat. So they were not, when they were giving away a gold pin for oratory, they weren't messing around. They were giving away real gold. So I'm guessing this was somebody who really was quite the speaker. I wish I knew who it was. But unfortunately, there are no initials on this one, so we can't really find that out. Okay, so let us put the gold back in here. And let's arrange this a little bit, since we've talked about all these different pieces of gold. And let's see, so we're just going to zoom out here to the point where my lens, you can see probably how my lens kicks back and forth. These cell phones seem to have two lenses now. I like this a lot. Maybe we're going to put that here. We'll put that on top. Well, we'll go that route for right now. Let's see. Should we just start filling in our background a little bit? That piece is nice there. Okay, let's continue, and we'll just keep trying to arrange all of this in a nice way that piles it up and looks like a cool treasure pile. Rings are tricky. We'll see where we can place this one. This is one of my favorite rings, partially because I actually will put it on sometimes. It's slightly too big for my pinky, a little too small for everything else, but I really love it because it's a ruby. Now it's a man-made ruby, and I don't have the way of zooming in enough, but you can see little bubbles in there. Despite being old, one of the things that's very interesting about rubies is that they've been making them since the 1800s. People don't realize how long we've been actually creating synthetic gems, but rubies have been man-made for a very long time. But I just love the workmanship in it, and it's been around for a long time, as you can see. It's been resized at least once, looks like, and any marking it ever had is gone. But it is, in fact, 10 karat gold, and it is white gold. So this was one of those really, really great dollar finds. And the reason that I thought it might be gold is because when you're, let's see here, if we can show this. The big difference between silver and gold when you're looking at it, you can probably see it a little bit on this. There's a little different color. There's always going to be a little different color. But more importantly, down in the crevices here, where you're getting that black, when you're getting that tarnish, you're not going to find that on the white gold. So when you're looking at a piece of white gold versus a piece of sterling, even a piece of sterling that's nicely polished, what you're going to find is maybe down in little edges a little bit of tarnish, and you won't find that on the white gold. So if you're looking at an old piece that's unmarked and you're seeing that the quality, the craftsmanship of it is very high, and that's what we're definitely seeing here. And you're not seeing any. You're seeing a lot of wear, but you're not seeing any base metal come through. You're not seeing different colors of metal coming through. And that's when you're more likely to suspect that it might be actually gold and white gold as opposed to just silver. Now, it's best to always pay silver prices, even if you're buying white gold. But it's always a lot of fun when you come home with some white gold. And then, because I am incapable of holding a ruby without doing this, the coolest thing about rubies, and if you're out and about and you want to know if you have a ruby, carry a little black light, because boom. Ah, come on, camera. Focus. There you go. Huh. Yeah. Rubies are crazy under black light. Absolutely nuts. I just love that. So yeah, this is one of my actual favorite things that I've ever found. And I'd like to put it somewhere in here that actually shows it off fairly nicely. What do we think? Does that do the job? Maybe it needs to be like that. Ah. Let's see here. Well, we'll find some spot for that. Let's see, what else do we have in this tray? Oh, we have some pearls. Talked about these in the pearl video, which went viral, even though it was definitely the thing that I knew the least about. But these are so cool. I found these in one of those random jewelry bags, and I pulled one out and I looked at it. I'm like, man, this is nice. And then I saw that we were very nice and that they're 14 karat. And I wonder. People keep telling me that pearls glow under black light. I don't know. That's an interesting effect for sure, but I don't know that that's really glowing. Here, let's hit our lights real quick and we'll see. Does that count as, yeah, oh yeah, look at that. Nice and green. Oh yeah, those ones definitely do glow. What about these ones down here? Not so much. In any case, we'll turn back on the lights and continue with what we have going on here. Yeah, so those are 14 karat. And I think we're gonna try to put those also in this little tub. That looks nice. And then this is a string of pearls. I know they're nice because they're pearls. They sound right, they feel right. They're not all the same size. They have that, yeah, basically they're very nice, and they're strung on the latch. If I open up the latch here, you can see, if I flip it over, is that side? No, that side right there. We are, where was it? Could have sworn this was marked 14 karat. Ah, yeah, there it is. It's just hard to see. 14 karat. It's right there. There it is. 14K. So that's a nice set of pearls. I actually still need to go to a good jeweler and ask what they're worth. They're just in one of those, you know, broken jewelry bags, I think, or were a couple dollars on a rack. I forget which, but I knew that gold is good, so I grabbed them. Let us, what should we do with these? You know what? I think we're going to set this up here, and we're going to break out something else that I love to continue to set up our nice, hopefully beautifully aesthetic treasure pile. And these, I'm just going to dump out the rings that are in there right now. These are definitely one of the favorite things I've ever found. And they're little cordial cups, I think, typically what they'll call them. So they're like for a for when you're having a party and you want to serve fancy booze. I have been serving, when I've used these, mead. A friend of mine made some mead, and it's really nice. And we've been using these to serve it. And these are something that I recognized, or at least I suspected, were Japanese based on the engraving. And you can see, too, if you look, we have different engraving on each one. They're all hand done, and they're beautiful, and they're marked down here as Pure Silver CPO. So I got the set for $2. It was half off day, and they were $1 each. And it turns out they are in fact pure silver. So these are 3/9 fine silver, not sterling. And if you look here, you can see how wavy this is, how bent that is. And you can just even though it's fairly thick, even thicker than like this is sterling. So that's 92.5% silver, with the rest being copper. And that alloy is enough to stop this from happening. And what happened with these is that the CPO is the Army's Central Purchasing Office. I believe that's what that stands for, Central Purchasing Office. And what was happening in post-war Japan was that there were a lot of really, really talented craftsmen. And they were starving because, frankly, post-war Japan was not a very nice place. And it was difficult to get enough food, and it was difficult to find any kind of work. So one of the things that became available to these craftspeople was to go to the CPO and say, I can make something for you to sell to the soldiers or the officers, but I need materials. And then they would provide the materials, and they would make whatever it was out of those materials, and then it would get sold through the CPO, and they could actually, like, you know, eat for another day. And my best guess here, because I have seen other pieces made out of pure silver and marked in this pure silver, is that whoever at the CPO was ordering the silver didn't know that they should be ordering sterling for making things. And when they were, you know, told that they needed to order silver, they ordered pure silver. And the craftsmen used it because that's what they had. So I think that's probably what's going on here. I have seen other CPO items that weren't pure silver, that were actually sterling silver. So I think that issue probably got ironed out over time, or maybe it was just particular ordering dudes were ordering wrong. In any case, despite them being a little wobbly, they're one of my all-time favorite treasures, just because there's so much history involved in them, and they're functional. I do actually use these. So we're gonna stop right here for a moment, and I'm gonna finish this video just because we're at that 30-minute mark, and even though we're nowhere near done, I do want to wrap this up. I'm hoping this information is useful to you, despite it being kind of an odd video. My voice seems to be holding out, so I'm going to stop this, and we'll record another one for another day. I hope that you have been entertained, and if you have, please go ahead and hit that like button. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, and drop a comment. If you have any more questions about any of these things, let me know. I'm always happy to answer questions or make more videos on the objects that you see within this. I hope you're having a great day.